think qualitative research, that's what my dissertation was, and it was about qualitative research. So that's why I became so interested in it. And I think it's, for a lot of people, it's highly misunderstood. It's not taken as serious science by a lot of people who do quantitative research. It has such a vast opportunity for looking and answering questions that aren't answerable by quantitative research. But I think, as maybe you experienced in the conversations about those case studies, there are so many gray areas, and it's so very different that it's that people need to understand what it's about. And there are very strong traditions in qualitative research, in education. There's a whole school in sociology and psychology. The health sciences, nursing has one of the broadest literature on qualitative research ethics, and some of the other health sciences like occupational therapy and that. So I just really think that IRBs need to become educated about it if they don't. I was having, after the session, having a brief conversation with somebody who said, you know, we really have a hard time with qualitative research on our campus because we have a chair who's very quantitative, and a lot of the IRB members are, and they don't try to understand qualitative research. It's like it's not valid, or doesn't have scientific validity or merit, and therefore, and you hear the horror stories. Just read the literature. The horror stories about IRBs asking ethnographers to provide their hypothesis. You know, those kinds of things, and it's because it's something different, and we were all very busy. So it's a, you know, another whole area to learn. But there are very easy ways around it, such as recruiting qualitative researchers onto the IRB, doing just reading articles on the fundamentals of qualitative research, how to evaluate qualitative research protocols for scientific merit, those kinds of things. It doesn't have to be hard. I think what it has to be is opening your mind that there's another way of looking at things. It's like when televisions used to just be black and white, and then they went to color. I think a lot of qualitative researchers would say a quantitative question is the black and white. The qualitative question is the color. You get so much more richness because of the philosophical underpinnings and the way you go about a qualitative study to a quantitative study. That doesn't mean it's better or more important, but it's another whole side of looking at a question or an issue that I think a lot of people would say is you can't get at the quantitative. And if that's not if you don't need that information, that's fine. But I think just to say that it doesn't have value because it's not the way you were trained, or it's not the way that you look at the world, or that you understand knowledge, or you understand issues, I think in an IRB world is, if you've got these research protocols coming towards you, owe it to your constituents, your clients, which is what your researchers are, your customers, to make an effort to understand it so that you can review it and give it the proper due, the respect that it should have. As if you're a quantitative researcher, you would expect the same as a board that reviewed primarily qualitative. So I think IRBs have come a long way with the split from biomedical to biomedical and SBRs at those institutions that have medical schools and that. But I still think that there's a long way to go from the stories that I still hear about qualitative being the soft, fuzzy kind of stuff that, you know, really has no merit. And I think you should just look at what the NSF funds, what the foundations fund. They fund a lot of qualitative. The education department, the USDA funds qualitative research. So there is validity, it has merit, and I think really IRBs need to get on board and do due diligence on qualitative research.